Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weather to Watch. We have more toasty temperatures to talk about, but that's a temporary condition as the temperatures will actually start to plummet in those very same areas and go through a little bit of a seesaw as we go through the week. Let's talk about that pattern change. Hello, I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. I just chose the GEFS model for the 500 millibar forecast. Could have looked at the EPS too. It really wouldn't have made much difference because they both are highlighting a rather energetic pattern here. So what you're seeing are several little impulses or waves of cold coming in. And this is affecting the central and eastern U.S., but this goes over the next 6 days. So this is recorded on Monday. So this gets us into halfway through the weekend. So you notice right here, there's a real carving out. That is cold air right behind there. And then there's a moderation, and then there's another little short wave coming around the long wave trough that establishes the cold air for the weekend again. But these are sharp troughs, so the warm-up is actually pretty quick behind them. The overall pattern, so I've talked about this before, so long waves are this entire thing here, and then shorter waves are what moves through the pattern, helps to deepen it a lot of times. So that's what we're looking at. So with that as a backdrop, let's take a look at the temperature trends for the next several days. Well, so if we look at the National Weather Service forecast maps here, we'll start with tomorrow, Tuesday, and it is positively balmy. And once again, I have to make the point that the colors are how much above normal things are. So Omaha at 57 is really, really toasty for this time of year. Likewise, Duluth, 36. To many of you listening, that may seem that's that big of a deal, but for them, that's pretty much above normal. Chicago, 49, and then you go down to places like Tulsa, 67 degrees, 63 in Springfield, Missouri, and so much of the country here is actually experiencing an above normal pattern. That's for tomorrow, so that's the first day of that loop I just showed you. Let's just see what happens on Thursday. Temperatures crash on Thursday, where Chicago plummets all the way to a high of 22. And that same place, Duluth, 4. And of course, these are the below normal temperatures right here, with the west seeing above normal readings, the warmer colors. So there's that. And then if we go ahead 2 more days to Saturday, all of a sudden now the warmth is back again. And so there's a real seesaw effect here. Chicago's back up to 43 and Duluth is back up to 30. And there's another one coming in behind that. So all that said, not surprisingly, the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook issued by the government for Sunday through Thursday still has a lot of below normal temperatures. Now, this goes beyond the 6-day loop I showed you, so it is really implying that even beyond that model's outlook, and I could have shown you more, just stopped at 6 days. But there's a high confidence of below normal temperatures in the east and a pretty high confidence of above normal temperatures in the west and especially the southwest. And if we extend that logic just a couple of more days out, so the 20th through the 26th, almost to the end of January now, still the same trend that we've seen pretty much all winter, where if there's going to be any below normal or colder air or snow chances, it's going to be in this corridor right here. Now, if we go through that same period, 20 through the 26th, the government does issue these temperature hazards, so there is a slight risk of a way below normal temperature pattern in these 2 areas through that 7-day period. So, if I can't emphasize it enough, there's an up and down to this. There's a real trend for cooler temperatures, especially in the north and in the east, pretty much dominating the rest of the forecast through January. Well, here's a visible satellite loop on this Monday afternoon. Much of the nation is clear and dry. You can still see some snow laid down over the weekend there from southeast Colorado into Kansas. You can tell it's snow because it doesn't move. Also, the snow that was laid down in the weeks and month before Christmas, all this area through here is now void of that snow. Lots of warm days. High cirrus clouds draping over the plains. More high clouds over the southeast. There's a little bit of a rain system here. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. If you take a look at the 500 millibar flow, the reason for that rain system is this low. I'll show you how much rain it's forecast to produce. Not a whole lot. You kind of see the long wave trough position here. But a lot of times, the cold air, I always tell you there's cold air back on this side of that kind of feature. First of all, this isn't a very sharp trough. Also, when winds come up and over the Rockies like this, they are modified by descending the Rocky Mountains, and they are really warmed. You've heard of a Chinook wind. It's a variation of that, only on a larger scale, really. So even though this is a long wave trough, this area here is still very, very warm. considering. And as I showed you, that's going to change. The surface isobars and the temperature pattern, as the model saw it at 3 o'clock this afternoon, it features a sprawling high that controls almost the entire U.S., really, with its center down in Louisiana, and winds coming back out of the south, leading to that warmer temperature pattern here through the plains. And we're really kind of devoid of precipitation, too, with the exception of a few showers in South Texas and in West Texas, and maybe around the Seattle area, and a little bit of snow in the northeast and approaching the northern plains. That's it. And speaking of snow, let's see what meager chances may exist. Well, this is a 72-hour forecast, Weather Service actually forecasting through Thursday. So what this is just lake effect snow that kicks in after that front moves through. Remember, I showed you the Tuesday map, and then on Thursday, it really slammed down. So late Wednesday and Thursday, this lake effect snow machine, these areas of yellow, kick in again across this region and also across the Appalachian Mountains as well. So far, there's only a winter weather advisory in effect from North Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, backwards to northern parts of Minnesota, and a little bit of that area around Syracuse. And then if we go through the 20th through 22nd, remember, or 26th, remember that was a period of cold air, and this is pure lake effect snow. There's just really no other way to describe this. There might be a little disturbance flowing through there somewhere, but the vast majority of that slight risk for a heavy snow hazard that just about rounds out January is definitely part of a lake effect snow pattern. Well, it's a little bit of a joke here because I usually do a heavy rain segment, but first of all, there's just not much precipitation showing up. Remember, this was total precipitation. So if it's snow, it's just melted down. And as you've been seeing, almost all this is snow. So there's very little in the way of liquid precipitation. Again, some of that stuff in Texas with that upper level low, maybe a little bit around Seattle, but most of that is way off into Canada. And a stall front in Florida may have some good rain with it, but even the bluish color is really only getting up close to 1 inch. So it's not like it would be defined as real heavy rain. And while we're on the subject of that, let's take a look at the country. It remains generally pretty dry on the 6 to 10 day outlook. These would be snow areas here and here most likely. This would just be a void of any really major precipitation. And then if we extend that, I did want to show you, though, that it does change in that same period, the 8 to 14 days. So that's the 20 through the 26th. I keep saying second, I mean 6. Then there is this rather interesting above normal pattern that could be developing there in the Tennessee and mid-Mississippi Valley area, Ohio Valley. And that has been highlighted by the government as a rain hazard with a slight risk of that happening in that very same area, 22nd through the 26th. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.